Miranda Gold, and New River Press. That is from this when we did our launch. We launched this at Houseman's Books. And since then, we came, as said, we used to be in Crisis Skylight in East London every Wednesday. And we had this place, this cocoon. And we're about to introduce you to this wonderful woman who adopted us, kind of our godmother, and who took us under her wing, and we squatted in the literacy department in Crisis Skylight. And it was incredible. Miranda Gold, the novelist, she just did a year of, she did a Crisis at Christmas, and she was teaching. She was so moved. She thought, I want to do something. What can I do? What can I do? I'm a writer. I can teach people to tell stories. So she just proposed, she designed a whole course. She was so inspired and just pitched it. Elisabeth said, come in, there's some people that would love to see this. And so she came in, she gave a 10-week course. And at the end of the course, people had an incredible reception. They were writing incredible poems and prose and various different things. And, they didn't want to stop. Miranda had, she didn't know what to do with this. So she came to me, she said, there's some very incredible work here. Here, have a look at it. Would you like to do something with it? And we thought, yeah, this is really something. We could do this, but let's not just take some work and put it together and then just throw it out. We thought, let's spend the time and the care. And what we began to do was each Wednesday, we had a session for 2 hours. We would get our poets that we love, like Golnoosh Nour, who you're going to hear tonight, or Hugo Williams, or Katie Evans Bush, or Richard Scott. These incredible poets came and gave their time and gave one-to-one poetry surgeries with our group. And over the course of the next year or so, this was, about 9 months, some incredible work developed. And then the pandemic happened. We'd done a few events, we were kind of on a roll, but rather than it kind of disrupting us too much, we began to just do our Wednesday sessions on Zoom, and we organized one-to-ones and phone calls, and we sold this pamphlet along with another pamphlet of poems specifically written in the lockdown, a booklet. And with the money from that, we bought books and keyboards and some chargers, and we stayed together as a community. We went beyond just Crisis, which is really the soil from which we grew, and we love Crisis, but it wasn't an institutional framework we could work through in the kind of madness of the situation. We didn't know what to do, so we just turned into a DIY collective, and actually it was incredible. It was my window to the outside world. My grandfather got COVID-19, and I had to go and care for him, and in where I am now in rural Wales. And every Wednesday, that was my only real contact, and on the phone. And oh my God, it was incredible to see what was going on. It was like the best journalism you could possibly imagine, but also the most beautiful human expression. And I'm so excited to present some of that with you tonight. I'll just read the introduction to our booklet of poems written in the lockdown, which is very brief. And then I'll introduce you to Elisabeth Seifert from Crisis, who is our kind of godmother of the project. The I Am Not Who You Think I Am writing group was hosted at Crisis Skylight. Today, we're on the phone, on video chats, on email. We provide workshops, one-to-one surgeries, and general friendship. Here are some poems from that process. People who've experienced homelessness have particular experiences of quarantine and social distancing. The insecurity and isolation, all too familiar to the homeless, are now felt widely throughout our locked down world. In our separation, there are opportunities for connection, a chance to build solidarity. Society will change from our reactions to this pandemic. The emotions come in waves: anxiety, hope, grief, excitement, dread, panic, boredom, anger. The everyday is changing in ways that we will soon forget. To give expression, poetry is well placed to capture these changes, to give expression to what we want to wish into existence. And Thank you very much for joining us. Elisabeth, if you will take it, I will spotlight you. And if you could unmute yourself. I think you have to unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Elisabeth Seifert, and I'm the Literacy and Learning Support Coordinator here at Crisis Skylight London. Ethcott's already said quite a bit of what I wanted to say, but he described how the project began, how it blossomed from a prose writing course into a poetry group, with one-to-one sessions, with some amazing public events and poetry sharing workshops. And I've been thinking, what has become of that now? And I know what's become of it now. In these dark times, these poetry sessions have become such a precious time to all the participants. A time where they not only create and share their poetry, but where they just come together as human beings and share their fears and feelings, vulnerabilities, and try and make sense of experiences and what has become of our really crazy world. So I know it's become a very safe and joyous space for the participants in these really unsettling times. And Miranda and Heathcote have been steadfast and absolutely dedicated to the group, even when illness has touched their own families. And I would like to thank them very, very sincerely for all the love they have given to this group over these months. And this is where, if I was a real fairy godmother, I would wave my wand and roses and chocolates and theatre tickets would appear, but unfortunately I can't do that right now. So thank you both, and to all guest poets as well. You're going to hear from Golnoosh later. She's the only one with us tonight, but thank you all so much. And before I hand over to our amazing poets, I'd just like to tell you how poetry has been such a solace for me over these past months. Most of the crisis workers have been working from home, doing the best they could to support members at the end of a phone. And it's really been quite a difficult task. But I've had 2 poetry collections on my desk, and I've reached for them many a time to comfort people in distress on the end of the phone. And while I've been searching in these collections for the right poem to read for this particular person, I found I've become calm myself. I can take on the distress and share the distress of the person, which has been very, very comforting for me. And so to our wonderful crisis poets. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elisabeth. That was beautiful words. The first poet that you're going to hear from tonight is an incredible poet called Jenkins. It is her birthday today, which is a beautiful thing. And, she has written, so wish her well. She's a great sort of yogic, feminist, visionary, doing a wonderful sort of ethnographies of East London. So please put your hands together in the privacy of your own homes for Ellen Jenkins.
Thank you, Heathcote, for that introduction. So as Heathcote just said, I'm Ellen. I've been involved in this project since the beginning. It started off with Miranda doing her writing course. Then, because all of us turned out to be poets pretty much, it evolved into a poetry group. And yeah, it's been a lifeline in these times, you know, and been such a privilege to work with such a talented group of people and to have such amazing mentors come in and work with us as well. So yeah, it's been a really great experience. And through my experience of homelessness, I've actually been allowed to develop creatively. It's helped me so much. So that's been the really positive side of all of this. So I'm going to share 3 poems. During the actual lockdown time, I wrote a poem a day on Instagram because it was National Poetry Month. I'm only going to read one of those because the first poem I'm going to share with you is the latest one I've written, and I think it's always good to showcase something new. So it's called Insignificant Other. Insignificant Other. Hoxton, February 2020, a month before lockdown, 7:30 a.m. Namyo Horenge Kyo, Namyo Horenge Kyo, Namyo Horenge Kyo. I do my usual chant, a voice inside my head. Go to Bali. There's a sound healer you need to meet there. A text. What are you doing today to fulfill your dreams? I text. Web design class. Sweep floor. Laundry. Fucking get on with it, I'm told. Gut wrenches. I feel I should please this insignificant other. I really do need to do the laundry. I choose a laundrette online out of 5 possibilities. Coin Up Laundry, The Steam Room, Salzman Laundrette, and Solace Laundrette. And then this one sounds funky, Boundary Community Laundrette. 5-star review, excellent service, prime location. The cheapest one. One reviewer writes, a cozy square of communal domesticity. And I know there's a cool vibe in that location. I walk in another direction for cheaper detergent, back to the flats, grab my trolley full of dirty stuff, then head off to Shoreditch. The door would have to be stiff. I give it a shove. Inside sits a curly-headed man, pretty enough to be in film with an air of quiet self-assurance. I know I need to speak to him, and not just because he's a pretty curly-headed man, which, by the way, I'm a sucker for, and this one reminds me of the love I was with for the longest time, whose dad was one of the first Indonesians to come to the UK to live. The curly-headed man keeps springing up to shut the door because it's cold outside. He's trying to read a book I don't catch the title of. I faff and feel like a twat as I have to keep asking how everything works. Which machine is free? What temperature do I put it on? Where do I put the soap and coins? It's not obvious who actually works here, and I mistake someone who looks like she knows what's going on for staff and feel even more of a twat. Finally, my clothes are swishing around. This space, the size of my friend's Victorian living room, but not as tastefully decorated, is bustling. There's a couple packing hundreds of black hand towels straight from the dryer, a hipster with a dog in a handbag dropping off his cardigans. Here's not the dogs, and 3 Somalian women folding skein loads of bright cloth. Pretty curly-headed man sits next to me. I take my chance. It's very busy here, I say. It almost comes out as, do you come here often? But I stop myself. Yeah, I come here a lot to wash my big sheets. I think he said something about shoots, as he has the aura of a film person. Good looking, not handsome. He's just pretty. Some men are just very pretty. But he is not an actor. He is a massage therapist, healer, and yoga teacher. Do you know any sound healers by any chance? A few? Yeah. The best one is in Bali. I'm thinking of going at the end of July. Don't think, do, he says. He'll be in Bali then, running a yoga retreat, including a day workshop taught by Shervin, the sound healer, which I'm welcome to attend. I don't need to explain why I didn't go this year. Midnight. A text from insignificant other after 5 months of nothing. I've not forgotten about the dough. I'll transfer it as soon as things start moving again. He's had time to publish his autobiography. I've written a few poems in that time. The Bali Healer's latest album helps me sleep these days, and he likes my poetry. We'll meet there next year, maybe. The money will come in handy. They only do service washes now. And the second one is called Haiku from Haiku for, not from Bristol. Haiku for Bristol. So this is one of the ones I wrote for the poem a day. Haiku for Bristol. Eco-aware friends. Banksy, a massive attack. Pride of the city. And my final one is called 14th of July. 14th of July, 1979, I met Ian for the first time on this day. It was his 13th birthday. Now he is dead. He's been dead a long time, a very long time. Today, my bones grieve for your flesh of night. My heart is a mausoleum. My stomach, a sarcophagus, holds your ashes. I am bound by the cloth you wrote my name on, soaked in frankincense and myrrh. Anubis on my left. A light chamber. Sekhmet on a throne, queen of queens. You left a residue of love. Thank you.
Woo, woo, woo. Thank you, Ellen. That was brilliant. Happy birthday as well, and well done. Now our next performer that we have is, oh wait, I need to unspotlight you, I think. Our next performer that we have is Adar. Adar, have we got you? Adar is an incredible kind of science fiction, Brummy genius who presents these other worlds that are totally in our world and are so close. And he's a real sort of flabbergasting, shocking, brilliant thinker. So put your hands together in the privacy of your own homes for Adar. Adar, you have to unmute. There we go.
Cool. Thank you so much. Well, I better do really well after that intro. I've been with Elisabeth. As you know, my name is Adar. I've been with Elisabeth and the poetry group actually for quite a number of years, as I was a member of Crisis Skylight and an ambassador as well. And I've seen I remember the first time I met Miranda at an event, a poetry event, and she, started the "I am not who you think I am" project, for which I wrote something for that she or Heathcote and nobody else has actually read. I've only ever read it for Ellen and stuff, but eventually we started this with New River Press, which is the publication outfit that Heathcote, Miranda, and a couple of Golnoosh and a couple of other incredible people happen to be a part of. We've done quite a number of incredible things, very, very brilliant venues. Heathcote is an incredible cook because he's done that for us on on some occasions. So it's really a blessing and such an honor to be able to do this in these times, as everyone has said. The poem, what I'm going to read to you today and just share with you today, is called Young. It's one of two extracts, the first one being Switch the Spirit. And it was a period where we, during the online meetings that we had, where we explored childhood, you know, and poetry that had childhood-based themes. And I spoke about, obviously it's during the COVID, so I spoke about this experience that I had seeing two little girls, and I shared it with a couple of the groups that I'm part of. And Heathcote has stayed persistent and persisted and insisted actually that I wrote something about that experience, even when I wanted to write some poetry. So I found a way to sort of merge the two and actually give the story as well as do some of a little bit of factual things and some of the things that I like. So I'm going to do it now, and it's called Young. Like the first spark of static that pops into flames from two dry flints being struck together. Like the switch from a lightest carbon stone that ignites into a singularly single control flame after the dial is struck and then turned once and then a second time. Like the strike of a match that hisses with explosive microfusion and then combusts itself into a free burning renegade flame after being rubbed upon one half of the core sides of the box that it sat inside of only but moments ago. And like the light switch that comes to reveal itself after being touched, found, and discovered, and then pressed upon to now reveal all. All that was only moments ago engulfed and covered within the cloak of a darkness so complete. And that is all now again recovered in the light to the sight in a new cloak, one of light. Sometimes in solitary and at other times from within, and indeed from without, we experience this heaving, the breathing, the bustle without the and with and without the usual hustle, like sparks that spark through and out and into the talking, the speaking, the random comments and discussions that we walk past, that we witness, and that we leave behind. Sparks that through the phenomenon that is the mind all still switches that all switch back and forth and then back. And with these sounds that sound like that of the flint, the lighter, the match, the light switch. A strike, a turn, a scratch and a click. Click, 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 and now the eyes blink. Blink, 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 eyes blink. These eyes, my eyes, they blink. I look down at feet, at moving feet, at my own feet, motor senses, all acute, all sensitive and sensory, all active, all online. Lower limbs, thankfully efficient and functional, all moving forward, all four limbs ebbing each other on and their core central on and ahead. All of the internal systems working and go and walking, all of us walking. I am again present and find that I am bipedaling. To the one side of me is a park better known to the locals here as the Snake Park, and for very well-known reasons as well. The park ends or starts, depending on one's point of entry, at the high walls of the overground train station. The amount of bodies within and all about on this occasion states a direct result and outcome of the announcements made on the news only recently and nationwide, less even than a week ago. To the other side of me, a pub called the Duke of Wellington with a small square in front of it. Still at this moment, not in use, pub benches all still upturned upside down. Two high meal lawns, each of them with a bench in front of it, of both flank on either side of a nameless, wordless, inscriptionless statue that remains still, a concrete punctuation at the center of the square. And then, of course, there is the tree, that good old ancient giant oak tree. Blink, blink, eyes blink. In front of me now lays the narrow pass with a metal railing handle on the side of it that is closer to the road, not even large enough for two pedestrians to walk past one another. Single file style only, please. Thank you very much. There are two figures approaching from the opposite side ahead of me, not quite in a single file style, both slim enough to nearly walk side by side, but only just about nearly. They're down the pass already, so I have to wait, and wait I do as I do here at the mouth of the passage as the two figures turn more into focus, approaching. Two youngsters approaching, two girls, both all but 11 years old. The irony, the very same age that I had only just been wading off into memory zone and reminiscing about myself at 11 years old. I wait, they approach, laughing, talking, discussing. The talkings, the speakings, the random comments and discussions that we walk past, that we witness, and that we leave behind. Or sometimes just simply wait for, as I find me doing now. I tell you what though, you know what, yeah? Like, I feel as though like since the lockdown started like to now, yeah? I kid you not, but I feel like I walk different. Laughs and giggles, and then, you what, cuz? No, seriously though, but no, on a serious note, like really fam, I do feel like my legs, yeah, I feel like they move in a different way now. I kid you not, I swear, no lie, my legs move different. Like since school year, since the last time we saw at school when they literally shut our school down, you know, from when the whole lockdown thing actually started, I'm telling you, I sure feel different in my legs, and my legs actually feel different when I walk. I tell you, and I swear, yeah, I swear down it's all this coronavirus thing. I swear it's this lockdown and it's all because of it. And I even heard that they walk past right past me. Two 11-year-old girls who had only just seen each other again for the first time in the month of June now, as it was, since the whole of the United Kingdom was issued a national lockdown and quarantine restrictions by and from the government, following the outbreak of the COVID-19 coronavirus that was first detected with symptoms from the Wuhan province in China to become a world and global pandemic, unprecedented. For the UK, it actually and officially started on the evening of the 23rd of March, 2020. And now at this present time, at the time of this random encounter, at the mouth of this pass, this narrow pass, and the talking, the speaking, the random comments and discussions that just walk past, this virus would have been reported to have caused 512,979 deaths within the United Kingdom alone. Now, what would the average older and more vulnerable adult and elderly people's experience be in the whole and on the physical and even mental health level as a result of this lockdown? I think this thought to myself. What would the near complete and absolute limitation of even just movement itself, of work, of the bustle with the usual hustle and all the daily activities, daily mobility, what would this cause? What would the complete lockdown from work, sports, schools, hubs, recreational facilities, fitness establishments, hospitals, community and homeless centers, soup kitchens, and even just the odd outdoor meets in general and parks? What would this cause to the average adult population, period, if this could affect one who is still growing one so still healthy, and who at this stage should be experiencing a never-ending vitality and spring from within them, one still so full of energy and life, and still very, very active, all organs and limbs still zesty and fresh of function? Why, I think to myself, and how could this affect even one so unweirdly fortunate to still yet be so young? Thank you.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Adar, that was incredible performance. And I feel those last two with Ellen and Adar, we have two sort of visions of East London just down the road. Ellen's laundrette and Adar's two young schoolgirls post-lockdown seeing each other for the first time. They're within a mile of each other, so it's an interesting on the ground perspective there. We have a beautiful now performance from one poet that I really love, one of our finest, most prolific, a kind of humorous, wry, dark brilliance, melancholy of David Bastin. David Bastin is a wonderful poet. Please put your hands together in the comfort of your own homes for David Bastin.
Before I read these 3 poems, I'd like to thank Miranda Gold and Heathcote from New River Press, especially Heathcote because he sent me through the post Red Comet, which is the new Sylvia Plath biography, and which is I can't explain to you how much Sylvia Plath has meant to me over the years, and also Elisabeth from Crisis, because she encouraged me to join Miranda's group in the first place. So thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Okay, the first poem is called I Steal These Things Because I Must. So put me in a foreign country. If I knew your language, it would be another matter. Or that understanding of how to walk hard streets, making movies with every look, and killing in the name of love. So I must move and move again to another heart and space, taking with me all I displaced, to her wicked, weeping face. I steal away before the dawn can catch me in the light, and leave behind all kinds of ghosts to haunt who the hell they like. If you love something, you can overplay your hand. I play the guitar. What's the weeping point of playing the guitar when my hand is sore and I can't write for 2 days? I can't stand living with another person, especially in the same bed. You fall in love with something. You think it's all hunky-dory. Roses tinted glasses time. You're in this person's world. There's love there. Then look at them in the neon light drunken wobble. There's this sudden scary aspect to their lives and their eyes. Killer's eyes. It's a thing I've witnessed. Think of the most repulsive, offensive statement you could make. Imagine someone you've invested in saying it. It's like that. I need to listen to myself. The second poem is about a friend of mine who hung himself, and I miss him very much. And this poem's called Michael. I went to a burial with all my strangers. We danced around the wood, killing bottles and cigarettes. The moon said goodnight, and we all kissed her hard on the mouth. Riding onwards, my head hurt, for rich reasons. Linda wouldn't shut up. Palenque came back all misty as we passed McDonald's. I puked into Bobby's genitalia. He stabbed me with a word. I window gazed the shame away. Car eating conversations. Mile by fading mile from Michael. I stare at the physical world and see nothing. I think of Ruth and sicken. Do not read my mind. Can he? Looking down. A police car smacks past, wakes up David. Later, drops silently at my door. I lit a last nail in my friend's goodbye, and thought of the poetry, the betrayal, her being abused by my drugs, my fantasies, spitting out my spite all over, the fear and rejection, fucking her to death. That this memory will bury all others of my friend Michael. And I weep for myself and a younger man. The last poem is called Well. And so they gathered by the well, and the well was empty. One by one, they dispersed back into the jungle, and the noises of the hidden and unimaginable, and the rains came.
Beautiful, David. Thank you so much. That was really incredible. I always am so moved to hear your performances. It's just really powerful and incredible stuff. Well, we are very lucky for our next performer. She's an incredible poet, Golnoosh Nour. She teaches at Birkbeck. She's from Iran. She has put together an incredible collection of short stories, The Ministry of Guidance, with Muswell Press. And yeah, she runs an incredible radio station called Queer Lit on Soho Radio. But we're very lucky to have her with us. Golnoosh, take it away.
Thank you, Hefkat. Although I just have to, please forgive me for correcting your beautiful introduction. I no longer teach at Birkbeck. I teach at the University of Bedfordshire, so the difference. Yeah, I would just like to say how truly honored I feel to be a small part of this beautiful, inspiring, and socialist project. I'm going to read 2 poems tonight. And the first one is actually the first poem that I wrote during the lockdown, although it has nothing to do with the pandemic, thank God. And it's called Sculptures. Sculptures. But why do I have to explain? Why can't I just wear my blue lipstick and be ironic, artsy, and eccentric? Why do I have to remind them what they've done to my land, or why sanctions are bad? Why do I have to be the teacher rising from the grave of politics? Why should I be the one shouting, we need transgression, darling, not progression, as though I were the chosen one? Why did I consume my youth in sad universities to confirm what I knew all along, to tediously intellectualize my instinct when I could have spent this time burning a bank or a church or even a mosque where dollar prays that queers will die? Why do I have to explain why a lunar boy in a dress who murmurs my art hardens his nipples makes my cunt jump? Why do I have to justify? Why can't I just open the picture of Dorian Gray, page 155? To define is to limit, and just stare as though I am gazing at Basil's painting, but instead I am the one aging. Why do I have to inform my father of my sex life when my mother, the sculptor, carved my flesh for years so I'd be as cultured as her dusty library, but she just made me a bruised slut? Why did I desire her dead, like the ultimate Freudian cliche, so I could have my father to myself? But now that she's gone, my father and I are still apart, cutting each other, yielding blood, and we both think The fox that visits my girlfriend's garden is my mother. And I'm going to read an older poem of mine, a prose poem that I wrote about my homeland because of the pandemic, I couldn't travel back to Iran, and I've missed it so much. So I'm just going to use this opportunity to read my poem about Tehran. And this poem is called The Wicked Capital. Tehran means reading never-ending Russian novels under my duvet, glitterless gay parties until the morning azan, until the birds scream, mahogany cafes serving cinnamon tea and vanilla ice cream. Tehran is smoke and fury, it is fuming. Tehran is static traffic, it is also fenugreek, all-girl schools, all-boy love, and compulsory hijab, and the evergreen Shahid Beheshti University where we exchanged gay kisses, but gay did not mean happy, it meant homo, whore, harassed, faggot, corrupt, beautiful. The universities whose rules we shattered in our attempt to become Lord Byron, a garden that is still shining, a neon green sun in the northwest of Tehran that inhaled our ashes while we smoked our youth and spat colonial classics, empowering ourselves. Now the question is, will we ever be truly empowered? We, the despondent snobs from the top universities of Iran, who ended up in the bottom universities of Brexit land, dump land, the North Pole, doing degree after degree after degree, so they can forget our skin color and forgive our accent, even though we are pale like flour and quiet like infected parrots. Will we ever be empowered? In Tehran, we are still powerless, even though it is officially our homeland, our sealess port. Tehran, the harbor of pollution, where fast cars screech American pub in ambivalent alleyways paved with martyrs' blood. I have never seen a city capable of containing so much love and hate. Tehran is my parents and our house, my siblings and my best friend, his passion for beautiful boys and avant-garde theater, and the scenario of our eternal escape. Tehran is my grandmother, cherry pickles that she made just for me with specifically rotten sour cherries that surprisingly tasted like God, her God that was not my God and became a gap that devoured a love. Tehran is my real room, my bookshelf, my vanity table crowded with bottles of blue varnish, my first rainbow flag. Tehran is aromatic, herbs, saffron, dried lime, turmeric, salt, bloody beans, red meat, brown flesh. After Persian cuisine, nothing tastes great. Tehran is Arabic prayers and Persian poetry, bookshops floating in the sizzling summer streets, Furugh Farrokhzad, Sohrab Sepehrian, Sadegh Hedayat, but also preposterous books such as bad translations of American self-help and Mein Kampf. Everything for a cheap price, and the everlasting question, how can this country survive when Hedayat killed himself and Furugh died at such a young age? Tehran is fear, more wars, more sanctions, more inflation, the morality police, our government, the US government, Saudi Arabia, and the government of Israel, fear of all the governments and fear of more chaos, fear of expenses, fear of being stuck, fear of leaving and of returning, fear of missing, fear of losing and fear of winning, fear of anarchy and love of anarchy and love. Living in Tehran is like being in love with the villain. Everyone judges and wonders why, but one will not lower oneself to explain the attraction. The moment anything is justified, it becomes boring, common, worldly. This is why when people ask where in Iran I am from, I respond, the wicked capital, saturated with gold oil dripping with black glory. Come in, but stay out, so you won't regret it. Thank you so much.
Incredible, Golnoosh. Thank you so much. That was exploding with joy here. That Golnoosh has also been an incredible teacher. She's very good at finding something that someone's trying to do and encouraging it. She's a true fan and also in her own work a real transgressive visionary. So do look up Golnoosh and her work. It was fire. That was beautiful. Now we have wonderful Matthew is going to do us a poem and a song. He is a kind of incredible, when you see him perform, Matthew, he's got this incredible intensity, but also this real quietness and gentleness. And he's a real, there's no one quite like him. It's always an incredible thing to see him. So Matthew, take it away.
Thank you, Heathcote. Thank you for that introduction. And wow, what a great evening this has been so far. I hope everyone is enjoying it as much as I am. Just before, I just wanted to say a couple of things. This group has been, it happened before for me. I joined it before the virus, and it was just such a freeing thing to be able to be creative again. I hadn't been creative for years, and or even talk to people about sort of books and things, in that way for a long time anyway. And my own journey through homelessness, was obviously stressful, and I wasn't really able to think about things like that. So it was such a relief to find it, and it has been such an encouraging place to be, where it's a real community, sense of community. People support each other, and that's an important word, obviously in light of homelessness and the virus. Even people coming together has been such a positive thing in COVID groups, I think, local groups to help each other. So sometimes people ask, like Miranda was saying, or Heathcote said about Miranda, like she wanted to help. And sometimes people ask, what can I do to help? And I just thought it's worth saying that there is an app called StreetLink, and you can download it on the App Store, and it's free. And if you see a homeless person, you can put in the details of where they are, and hopefully usually people do go and check on them and see if they would like help. And it's really a good thing to do, because that's what we want to do. Is I think there's some amazing statistic about for every 3 months you spend street homeless, it takes at least a year to get off the street, because you become so acclimatized to living in that way. So I just wanted to say that. And also the average age of people who die on the street as homeless is 44, I think. If you do see anyone who's homeless also, and you can't give any money, or you don't choose not to do it that way, just do say hello. Very important to be recognized, and to have a voice, and to be a person and not to be looked through. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Crisis gives hope to so many of us, and the Elisabeth and Heathcote and Miranda and all of our community here. This is what we're about, is giving hope and creativity. But I'll be quiet now and just read a poem. This is a poem. I wrote a response to a poem by C.D. Lewis, and his is called "Walking Away." And this came up in the group, and when it came up, it just I just felt compelled to write it for my own reasons. And for me, it's a lot about acceptance. And the song that I'm going to sing after it is kind of related to it. It's also about acceptance, in a way, for me anyway. And the song is by a man called Warren Zevon, who the late great Warren Zevon, who is sadly not with us. But if you don't know his work, or please do go and look him up. It's very topical because it's Halloween, and he wrote Werewolves of London. So go and have a listen to that. Anyway, A Response to Walking Away by C. Day Lewis. I was the one, not your boy, who walked away. My two caught the other side. Our touchlines blurred, irreconcilable. Rules finally abandoned. My walk desperate, defiant. A stuttering, spitting firecracker exploding from view. And inevitable, my familiar escape. Burn through chalk white to rest in umber clay. Your autumn different sea day, under ultramarine, unhurried skies, your contemplations, with a surge and ballerina still, and then release the flow, the movement of parent stems and times remembered, things unbroken, together, still. Mine, more broken clock, demon wound, deliberate too tight, popping hands, sprung springs, the pressure released, unmanageable. Sending my twin worlds, spin spun, too young, away. Their space, empty, infinitely. Once full with their laughter and new words, half spoken, the smell of their sleep. This is, I do have a guitar here, in case you want. It's a difficult place to with that, angle or whatever. So I'm not singing to a backing track, I'm trying to say. Anyway, this is Keep Me in Your Heart by Warren Zevon. Shadows are falling and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. So keep me in your heart for a while. And when you get up in the morning and you see that crazy sun, keep me in your heart for a while. There's a train leaving nightly, cold when all is said and done. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and you'll smile. You know I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts. Take me to your dreams. Touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit, and I will be right next to you. Shadows are falling, and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, oh, it doesn't mean that I loved you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while. I'll keep you in my heart for a while.
Woo, woo. Thank you so much, Matthew. That was incredible. I know we were all over here in the Zoom call, waving along, lighting our candles and loving that.
Thank you, Scott.
Our next performer is the wonderful, brilliant, cynical, contrarian, but funny, brilliant rhymist, and just generally kind of a very interesting thinker, always contributing something very, very special and brilliant. It's David Wilson. Please put your hands together for David Wilson.
Hi guys. Okay, I'm going to do 3 poems. The first one is the only poem I can definitely say I know when I began writing it. I began at 6:45 on January the 6th of this year, and I finished it about 10 minutes ago. So here we go. This one's called Alive-O. Mother cried frog-like, what a relief. A lamented inevitable, still beggaring belief. Tragically cut down at only 93. Well, it could have been worse. It could have been me. Coil off, shuffled, bucket kicked, door nailed. Departed, demised, and daisy raised. Bucket kicked, passed on and passed away. No longer with us, now in a better place. A fountain of virtue, a tower of strength, defending the irrational with blithe common sense, a furious slipper with a gentle touch. Truth be told, didn't always like her much. We were a scrubbling brood at the best of times, so the worst of times prompt predictable lines, much rending of garments and gnashing pulled teeth, with prayers mutely mouthed, masking tensions beneath. 5 not present, 2 not there, 4 required, 1 prepared, 3 in situ, 6 no more, each for their own and 1 for all. Denied the Eucharist for invoking the law, then granted absolution on the death of some whore. But if that stanza sounds like a happy ending, then rest assured there was doom impending. For when the door reopened to salvation, the now step sinner was a cancer patient. Then that slab of a man became 5 stone of gravel, and the short-lived joy began to unravel. So as a cripple car raced off to Samara, we gave thanks and praise to the Holy Father. Thank you. And the next one's called Lines Written from Below, Lesnie's Abbey. Shaking stilled by the stone, pounded pulse subsides. A dram of bile, wretched sotto voice, just Dracoms sluggish came. Acres rambled, thoughts collide with paranoiac angst. Locking eyes to turf with dim views lurking in each glance. A mulberry bush of thwarted schemes, whispers of defeat, walls torn down in holy wrath, proffer hopes of peace, and hopes of days unlike today, and hopes of better times, and hopes are what the days are for, when hopes can still the mind. And the third one is part of a triptych, which by a fortunate coincidence has 3 parts. This is part 2, and it's called All Shall Be Well. It begins with a short extract from Psalm 137. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall be he that repayeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall be he that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone. We must eschew sin unless we are God. We must love till we fall upon Jericho. Then his mercy be on those merciless ones who are ruthless and damned by their infamies. We must let him in to save us from him and what he'll do if we don't let him save us. For only he can save us from what we'll become when we turn out just how he made us. We must love until death brings that final tally and forgive till the critical hour when he'll punish and teach those unreachable souls who are now much too lately lamented. Use your gifted free will to choose to obey and your mind to choose not to question. Use your rational faculties to embrace faith and not puzzle on things which derange us. But as time and tides suspend disbelief and the sand trickles through the dimensions, then a faith in the absence of what can be known can conflate to a new comprehension. As a personal synod is ever convened, fresh strictures and creeds crave attention. The power of gnosis is one to reveal categorically binding imperatives. He saith not, thou shalt not be travailed, and not thou shalt not be tempested. He saith, thou shalt not be overcome by distortions of what was intended. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful, as always, David. Incisive and brilliant. We've got a wonderful performer next, Esther. Esther has been a really key part of our group, and when she's been performing, everyone has been kind of gripped in this incredible intensity of her performances, and it's been a while since we've seen her, so she's come out for this performance, which is a huge joy for us. Esther, have we got you? Let me just, can you unmute? Yes, yeah, we've got you with us now.
Hello, everyone. It's a great privilege for me to be here today because I've really been going through a lot. So it's just nice to see everyone's faces. And I want to give thanks to Miranda and Headcock and Elisabeth for being such an inspiration to me, allowing me to have this platform to do this poetry today. So I want to thank you guys and also the crisis team. My first poem is called I'm Human. And it goes like this. I am human, just like you. In my skin, this is how I came. I am human, just like you. I cry, I sleep, sometimes happy, sometimes sad. I am human, just like you. The earth below my feet, the blood in my vein. Please understand, I'm human, just like you. Don't judge me or be afraid. We are all the same. Poverty don't defile me. Riches can reach me. If not, I am still the same. I am human, just like you. And the second poem is called Clarity. It's allowed me to get out of a lot of dark thoughts during this pandemic. It's called Clarity. She opened the path, breathing of stability, secure and sincerity, faithful clarity, like water of wisdom, pure and lovely, transparent light of glory, she found me. In the midst of dark clouds, unwanted thoughts, fragile emotion, broken glasses, love, she chose me. And the third one is called Wouldn't. I think I wrote this one because I think when I was like trying to express myself, people wasn't actually listening. So I felt like I didn't have a voice. So it's called Wouldn't. My mouth is like a sword. My words carry power. My tongue cuts like a knife. I spit and building shakes. My voice move like TikTok. I can't sit still. I make your heart tremble like poison. I strip you naked. You can't keep me on the ground. Even in the grave, I won't behave. So I wouldn't keep still because I have a voice and you would hear it. That's the last one. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. That was a really incredible performance, Esther. We missed you. Missed you with this. So real and you have an amazing technique of doing something so human and yeah, it's incredible. Our next performance, we have a two-in-one, as it were. We have the wonderful Ivo, and he's going to do his poem that's both in Bulgarian and also in English. And Miranda Gold is going to read the English translation of his Bulgarian poem afterwards, translated by him. So if that's too confusing, you'll find out in a moment, but please put your hands together in the comfort of your own home for Ivo. If you could unmute, Ivo.
Yeah.
Great.
Good evening, everyone. I joined the Crisis Poetry project last year. I'm happy to work with everyone, with Heathcote, with Miranda, with Elisabeth. And I want to say thanks for opportunity to read my poetry. First, I want to say something about my first poem. It's called Time. I decided to read this poem because we are living in a very difficult and strange time with many changes. Before we used to wear masks only on Halloween. Now, these days, we're using the masks every day to save our lives. My first poem is called Time. One is born, another dies. One wins, another goes bankrupt. But time does not stop. Humanity uses minds which do not stop for hours. How to earn time, which is continuous, cause do not overlook human destinies, does not recognize a tribe, a family, or relatives. Love and devotion pass, with money and hypocrisy is sold. He condemns the righteous to be a slave after digging his own grave. Nobody's time forgives. Young or old does not recognize. Righteous or sinner all die. Disease and violence all draws. The watch might stop, but time will endlessly continue to flow. And a second poem I want to read in Bulgarian. We did this decision 1 year ago with Miranda, and I think it sounds great. A poem is called Artist, художник. В сини нощи, пропилени мечти, посрещам изгрев и изпращам до здрач. Сънувам твоя поглед, но чувам само плач. Дали е зов за помощ или пореден фарс? Рисувах, но бях сляп. Обичах, но бях омразен. Продадох душата си на този мрачен свят, безсмислен и празен. Забъркан в тази игра, в която няма край, в този загубен рай.
Artist, written and translated by Ivo Stanoev. Sleepless nights, lost dreams. I meet sunrise and wait until dusk. I dream your eyes, hear only your cry, whether it's a call for help or farewell. I was drawing, but was blind. I loved, but was hateful. I sold my soul, deceived by this gloomy world, blank and empty, unloved in this game in which there is no end, in this lost paradise. Well, it's a really lovely moment actually to try and bring together my thoughts about this evening, having heard all the individual voices and the voice of the group, because that is, something that comes through more and more clearly each week that we meet, that this is a collective, and yet within this collective, each of the individual voices truly, truly shines. And throughout the pandemic, when I think it's felt for so many of us that things are so circumscribed and constricted and we're holding our breath waiting and uncertain, the poetry is a place where we breathe. We write, we share, and we listen. And actually hearing what Esther was saying just now about being truly heard, I think that's a really important thing that the collective brings every week, is that the quality of listening is really, really key. The way the poets support each other. Hethkett and I co-facilitate, but it's them that bring their passion, their dedication, showing up to the page, that terror of the blank page, which every writer faces, regardless at what stage of your career you're at, you still have to come back to that space. And they do come back to it with incredible courage and dignity and levity when it's needed. And they brought each week, we often discuss poems. Hethkett and I will choose a selection of poems, which we'll then discuss with the group. And they might be ones that, for example, I know that there have been some that I've been familiar with for years, and yet reading it with the group, they will bring their wisdom, their insight, their wry perspective on it, which will, you know, challenge and refresh. So it's been a real gift. I didn't know when we first started this group at Crisis. You know, I came to Elisabeth with what was just, you know, a germ of an idea, and it was after a series of what ifs and taking the risks with those what ifs that we got to this point. And I'm just so grateful that Elisabeth shared my enthusiasm, and that Heathcote shared my passion for it, and that the group went, okay, let's make this work, and that they kept showing up. Just one last thing I want to add about the group. As Heathcote mentioned, we did begin in that cocoon in Crisis, and those walls were such a valuable space. They were so containing, and you know, beyond that, we are now a collective of both members and ex-members. So we like to keep the continuity going. The door remains open. We want to continue to support and help that creativity flourish. It's managed to flourish in the most unlikely circumstances. You know, through the pandemic, the concentration and acceleration and creative outpouring, it hasn't stopped. I don't know whether it's despite or because of these unprecedented times, and we really need a new vocabulary in order to express what it is we're going through. But I think actually they're finding that vocabulary, each and every one of them. So keep writing, share your poems, send your poems to others. You don't know what sharing, you know, a few words you've loved will mean to someone else. It is another way of connecting. It's really hard to find the right way to connect right now. We're all lost for words. But I do think that poetry can be a way through. So I'll just hand back to Heathcote now. I think we have a last poem, but Heathcote will take you through the end of the evening. But thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. Beautiful. Really, none of us would be here right now if it was not for Miranda. Do check out her writing and her novels, and her single-headed passion in all of this has been incredibly sustaining. We're going to have now one of our most talented and incredible poets isn't able to read with us tonight, although he is watching, and Peter Nathan. We're going to have one of his poems read for us by the incredible Jenkins, who you met before. And then we're going to go straight to Matthew, who's going to see us out for the evening with a beautiful song like the one you heard before. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. It's been a really incredible evening. It's been somewhat terrifying for me, trying to technically DJ it all. But now, good night. Have a wonderful evening. Solidarity and yeah, big love. Ellen.
Thank you, Heathcote. Yeah, so it's an honor to read this poem. Like Heathcote said, this is written by an incredibly talented man, talented in many different ways, actually a true artist, I would say. And it's a privilege to read Peter Nathan's poem. It's called Lily. Lily. I am poured out like water from a vessel rejected in pain. I cannot speak of the troubles my life has faced. Why am I given to such grief? Why am I abandoned to such loss? Connection is a desert, grains of sand which offer me the counsel of grief, thirst. Isolation amongst a multitude of people, or flowing through the same winds, carrying them upon the heat of affliction. The oasis, but a shadow of what it should be. I thirst, yet none understand that the thirst to which I thirst is for the water to burst upon me, baptize me and pour out of me. I long for death, and yet death of my life is all I have ever known. Discouragement is the acid that corrodes my soul. A loveless place accuses me of neglecting their fellowship. Is it possible to commune with those with whom connection is dead? Two cannot walk together unless they have common ground. When connection does not exist, what depth of fellowship is there to be gained? Does not even nature teach? If I am to exist in a desert, it will be in fellowship with fellow lilies of the valley.
Incredible, Ellen. Thank you so much. And what a wonderful poem from the great Peter Nathan. I'll just remind each other, there is a comment in the YouTube video for this. We have for the mere price of £15 or the solidarity price of 30, you get both this booklet and this pamphlet of some of the poems you've heard tonight, delivered straight to you. Please do support the project. It goes to a very good cause. And thank you for joining us. Now we will have a wonderful good night with Matthew Wookie.
Yeah, it's Japanese for bear, I think, Wookie. That poem by Peter is stunning, and it was just beautifully read by Ellen. I loved the line pouring from the vase at the beginning. This is a song. It's a poem in its own way, or words to music, by John Lennon. He would have been 80 on the 9th of October. And it's love is not all we need. We need a roof and running water and all that kind of thing, which we're lucky enough to have the chance at least here. But love, if love can do something and change people's outlook, then we have a chance. And in Finland, they've done it. They have no homelessness, and crisis follows the same principle. It's called housing first. Put a roof over someone's head, and maybe they can start to dream again and feel love again in a different way. So anyway, here is a different version of All You Need Is Love by it's Lennon and McCartney. Nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. There's nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's not easy. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. Start that one again. Sorry. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. There's no one you can save that can't be saved. There's nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's not easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all that you need. Love, 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 love. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. There's nothing you can see that isn't shown. There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. Now it's easy. Love is all you need. 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 Love is all